Hello everyone, welcome to session 1 for day 1 in part 4. My name is Diki Dewanto and I will be the moderator for this session. I would like to introduce the speaker for the session. I will add him to the story. So, hey Mas Yahya.
Sorry, hello.
Hello. Okay, so Mas Yahya is a cyber security researcher at eFishery.
Yeah.
And he will talk about the importance of Python for ethical hacking. He will explain why how hacker usually code and why Python is widely used by hacker. Without further ado, the stage is yours, Mas Yahya. Let's give a big virtual applause to Mas Yahya. If you have any question, you can ask the question in below chat. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Sigit. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to start it now. Okay, hello everyone. It's my pleasure to be a speaker in this awesome event and sharing about the importance of Python for ethical hacking. So I'm going to present with English, but I'm okay if anyone want to ask with bahasa. I will answer with bahasa. Saya akan presentasi dalam Inggris, tapi kalau ada yang mau tanya pakai bahasa Indonesia juga oke. Beforehand, I have a disclaimer about every content in this presentation. Every content is informational, educational purpose, follow the ethical hacking, and I'm not promoted the cracking. And so, hello everyone. My name is Yahya. I'm an engineer lead at Fishery. It's an aquaculture startup in Bandung. I do love automate everything, anything. I also working as the DevOps, software engineer, cybersecurity researcher, and I'm also the open source software and Web3 enthusiast. Oops, sorry. And wait a minute. Yep. I'm also the creator of the Nemo, Big Brother test, and other junk. And I'm also have a Twitter if you want to chat with me at Bukan Yahya. I'm also live stream at the Bukan Yahya Twitch, and I also have YouTube content. You can search the Kimochi. So, okay, there is many event about hacking related lately, especially this year. We have a lot malware report and some cybercrime organization that targeted startup to hostage the database, and the cybercrime is got easily managed because the cybercrime organization, everyone can do anything unless they have enough money. Also, someone found a critical vulnerability in decentralized finance or DeFi and got paid around $2 million. The cybersecurity is kind of evolving faster following the technology. Even the Web3 is already have the vulnerability, a lot vulnerability. So we will talk about this guy, the hacker man. It's not the usual hacker that figure out how to circuit things, but they are a man who try to hack your web or apps every day. So what is the importance the hacker man with the Python actually? So what usually hackers do? The only activity that hackers usually do, yeah, of course, hacking. So some of the hacking process, they choose to use code of ethic to assist hackers in understanding the difference between right and wrong, in applying that understanding in their action. So commonly it's called the ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is the process commonly involves authorized attempt to gain unauthorized access to a computer system application or data. You could see on the image is common process of ethical hacking. This is what makes ethical hacking respected around the internet. So to do all of the long process, hackers need to automate the process. That's why Python support to easily do the ethical hacking process. So usually hackers use script bash to automate their hacking activity. But here is come why hackers use the Python. So first of all, hackers community have a list of vulnerability application include with the exploit script. It's like you can use the script so you can do any hacking without any hacking knowledge. The exploit script is usually indexed at exploit database or exploit-db.com. So every exploit have this common language, like they have a Java, PHP, HTML, C, and of course they mostly language hackers to use to make exploit is Python. It's more than 3,000. If you go to GitHub and find the tag of pen testing, this tag represent of the open source to hacking tools that host on the GitHub is usually written with Python. The tools is commonly like a Sql Map, the Harvester, a Sherlock, and MapSF. And you could see the Python is the most language used to make a hacking tools, around like 700 tools. That's a lot. So the next one, it's a CVA, stand of the common vulnerability exposure. It's like catalog publicly disclosed vulnerabilities. The difference with the exploit DB, sometimes exploit DB is from community. The CVA is from the organization. So if you go to the GitHub and search for the CVE, you could see a lot of people made a proof of concept or a script or POC for every CVE. And most of the POC is written with Python, around 2,000 more. So why they choose Python? Why hackers mostly choose Python? So the first one, Python used for many hacking tools. Second one is made hacker productive and speedy in hacking process. Also, Python have a strong community with hackers, and Python is easy for proof of concept. Python is easy to inject shellcode for buffer overflow, and of course, well, nothing more is like hackers love to hacking with Python for fun. So the next one I will tell about the hacking tools. The hacking tools is widely Python is used to develop hacking tools. That is why Python is the Swiss Army knife of hacker tools. So I will show you about the three basic tools that commonly used for hacker. This tool is very common around hackers, usually for in Sql injection or OSINT, or we can call it the open source intelligence, where these tools can gather the gold mine of information around the internet, and also the great tools to debug the Android application. The first tools I will share is the Sql Map, an automate SQL injection and database takeover. Hackers use this to explore, change, and do anything with database that connected with the app that vulnerable with SQL. And the attack is commonly called SQL injection. SQL injection is kind of one of attack that used by hacker. The attack is kind of simple to understand. For example, if I have website that will show you a news with news ID of 5, and on the application usually use the query just select the news with the news ID of 5, where 5 is actually from input in the get method on the URL. So it means I can change the news ID to any number and will return the news or nothing if it's not available. So the attack is kind of like this. The previous query is simply get input from the user within the URL, and it means the user can also input a valid query within URL parameter. For example, this query extract the username and password, while the query is supposed to be just show the news data. And the SQL injection have a lot variant and payload. That's a lot. Like have a 9 variant of SQL injection and more than 100 SQL injection payload. So how to fix this? You need to never trust the user input. You need to sanitize or validate the data. Okay, the next tools, the Harvester is my favorite tool. This tool is actually like gold miner on the internet. You simply input the domain and it will search any data about the domain. If you're wondering, this tools is common using the search engine like Google, DuckDuckGo, Bing, and also use the spatial search engine like GHDB, Shodan, or ZoomEye. This hacking activity is commonly called the OSINT, or open source intelligence. So OSINT is the process collecting the publicly available source for intelligence context by simply put the spatial keyword on the search engine. On the first image, this is what the spatial keyword look like. And I also made about this or sharing about the OSINT on my video on YouTube. So how powerful OSINT is, or how powerful the harvester is. So everyone already know about the Goto merger, right? The Gojek and Tokopedia merger on 20 May 2021. But far from that, when I'm live streaming on 11 February and testing the tools, the harvester to my audience, so I'm testing with the domain of gojek.com. We found the information about that. We actually already know Gojek, Gojek and Tokopedia will merger because of the public information about this project on the Trello. You see that a link about Trello on the Gojek. Eventually, that is a private Trello board. I can access that. So I can access the board Trello, but the URL is public information. So this is how powerful the OSINT is. So the next tool is MapSF, or Mobile Security Framework. This tool is simply the process of the hacking mobile app. This tool can analyze, decompile, and do many things to analyze the Android application. It has two great features: static analyze, and you can like decompile and find any legit finding here, and also dynamic analyze that will record all the application activity while you use the application with the virtual Android. This tool is using Python, specifically with Django framework. So everyone know about Peduli Lindungi application to protect Indonesian people from COVID-19, right? I use these tools, MobSF, to analyze the Peduli Lindungi application. And I made a video about this on YouTube. The app actually sent a strange data to untrusted tracker. You know, every application have a tracker, right? That's common in general. That send a usage data to third-party application. But with my analysis, I found the application actually send the data to untrusted website, the unknown website. How we can trust that? If you're interested with my analysis, you can go to my channel or go to my Twitter. But in the latest version of Peduli Lindungi, they actually remove this. They actually remove the tracker. So that is how powerful MapSF is. You can just easily mobile hacking with these tools. Those are the three common hacking tools written with Python. The next one I'm going to show you about how to automate an POC with Python. In this part, I will tell you about how hackers usually hackers scripting with Python. Okay, so back then, my company made a little contest. More than 100 people come to contest. It's a vote. It's to vote which department are the best by using Mentimeter as a pool platform. Anyone know about the Mentimeter, right? The previous presentation from Ainan, they're using the Mentimeter as a voting platform. This platform commonly used for voting, or some people use this as a game. Someone you can access Mentimeter from phone, you can vote, and you can see the result immediately. One of this platform great feature is you can only vote in this platform once without login to the app. You didn't need to register to this website and you can vote with this platform. So the app actually know the unique user of the voter. This is the key of the app. You didn't need to log into the platform to vote. It means if I want to abuse this platform or I want to manipulate the vote, hackers need to understand the behavior of the application to spam the vote or to change the vote. And actually, I found a way to spam the vote. So, because the session is stored on the local storage, as the cookie with key name of identifier, it means only need to generate a new valid identifier to vote again. It's like I just tried this before. It's like you just use the incognito browser, incognito browsers, the private browser. If you use that and you open the vote link, you can always vote again, vote again, vote again. Whenever you open the private browser. So it means you can vote again. So how to get a new valid identifier? You just need to request a new identifier with this link, menti.com/core/identifier. After you understand about this application behavior, you will understand how to get a new identifier. Actually, you just need to send a new request to this URL. If you do this every vote, you can spam the vote, right? You might thinking like, this is a bug. Actually, no, it is a feature because this is how unique identifier is working. You can vote without login to the app. Usually, the other apps have similar mechanism with Mentimeter. So I decided to automate this, and I made a tool called Jemawa. It's an arrogant word in Indonesia. It's easy to use. You just need to add the link, choose the item to vote, and tell how many times you want to vote. So I figured out how to spam it, and I only need to code this 10 minutes. That incredibly fast. That's how most hackers love using Python. It is incredibly fast to code. So you see, previously on the Ainon presentation, I also tried to spam it. If you could see, I'm also use this to spam his vote. It's easy to use. You can see here how's the label is. Okay, sorry. Okay, we'll continue the presentation. That's how the tools and automated POC working with Python, and why the hackers love most using the Python. So the next one is inject shellcode into stack buffer overflow. Stack buffer overflow is one of the vulnerability commonly used by hacker. This one will be pretty hard to understand. So if you're still curious and just want in touch with me, I will try my best to simplify the explanation. Okay. So I have a simple tools Python with C. The tools is simply have a main function, a parameter, a buffer variable. It's a buffer variable and will store 80 character. And the next line will copy the parameter into the buffer variable. And the next line will return nothing. So whenever I'm running the application, I need to input some string and it will just return nothing. So you might be wondering how this tool is running and stored on the memory actually. On the green box, this part, I represent this as the memory. We have a kernel and stack in the highest memory address, following with the text data in heap from the lower memory address. So whenever the stack need more memory, it will goes down right. From here, kernel stack goes down right. And whenever the text data in heap need more memory, it goes up right. It's simply like that. So our tools is actually stored on the stack memory. And this is how it look like on the right box. So now you can imagine every line of code is stored on the memory like this. Function main, and then here is the parameter, and here is the return, and here is the base pointer, and here is the variable with the 80 characters to store. So it's like whenever I run these tools with password parameter, the character on the memory in binary is stored on the memory in binary. And we can read it by convert this into hex with the GDB or GNU debugger. So the password character is stored the buffer variable 8 character. It means like 8 bytes. So this is how it look like to be read by GDB or GNU debugger. So you can see the memory address in here. Every memory address has the 8 bytes, and the character of the password is actually stored in here. So I just made a visual that password is stored like this. Okay, so the critical feature in these tools is the return function. On the green part, because this function will used by hacker to manipulate the data. Why? Because the return function will go to another memory address to run another data. You could see this return function that returns 0. You can see this return with memory address of E528 have this value, and this value is actually another memory address, and it will jump to another memory address. So right now, I will fill up the buffer variable by using the Python inline CLI. I'm using like this, Python minc print a character 80 times. So I will fill up this buffer variable. Here you go. If you could see on the GDB, it's actually stored with 0x41 data. Now, the buffer is actually already filled up the variable, and we know the exact position on the buffer on the memory address and the position of the return on the stack memory address. This is the buffer variable, and this one is return address. But you can see gap between between variable buffer and the return, and that is called the base pointer. Usually, this is a constant offset from the function stack frame. It means I can put maybe I can put the parameter more than 80 character. So I run Python inline on the bottom by print an A character 8 times and a B character 8 times. So the application actually run normally because it means I can put more than 80 character. Okay, now I will print an A character 90 times. So it will break the application, break the tools. In hope the tools will break. So I run the Python script and the tools eventually break. You can see this error and it show an illegal action. Now you see this address is actually the return address. Now change into the A character. This is illegal because it goes nowhere. This return address is actually goes nowhere. This is dangerous because we can replace an A character with the malware code, and we replace the return address with malware memory address. Now, what I'm going to do now is to replace an A character with an illegal action or malware. Actually, this is not a malware. I just simply call bin ESA or shell new code with this 27-byte shell code. This is the script. So I'm easily running Python minc print this data. This actually running shell code, and also with an A character 63 times because we add this 27-byte shell code. You can see on the red part is our shellcode. You can see here. And here is the memory address from an 80 to 98. And then following with the A character. And the green part is the return function. It's still error. It actually still error. But the shellcode is actually successfully stored. Now you need to see the shellcode memory address is the E40 or E480. What I'm going to do now, how to execute this shellcode. We will replace the return data in here with the shellcode memory address. So we are going to change this with this address. This is how we are going to do because the shellcode of memory address is 7FFF E480. We convert this to /x80 go on. So this is how the script I made. I'm using the shellcode in here, and the last data I changed this with the memory address of the shellcode. So this is how it look like right now on the memory. This is the shellcode. This is an A character. This is the memory, the return address I changed, and it will jump to a shellcode address. And I just running this, and it's actually working. And I running as the root, and I can do anything as the root. Okay. Now I will demo the buffer overflow with the example of the client server. And our target is running the application to exploit the server and run the command on the server. Okay. So here we go. Wait. Okay, this is the script. It's kind of different from the first one. You can see whenever I get the parameter of the input, it will return back the string that I input. I will run the script. You go. The script is actually already run on the server. Wait, I'm going to show you if this is my server. Just simply to run this. You can see this is my server address. And this is, I'm using the VPS on the DigitalOcean, the cheap one. We'll run the server and I will run the application on my client side. This is my client side. And I'm going to access the server with the telnet to zoom this a little bit. So I'm going to telnet with the IP address and then the port number. Here you go. The application is already running on the client side. Whenever I type something like hello, it will return also hello from the server. So if I send some input to the server, it will return back with the same string. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to exploit that with this Python script. I have this Python script. This Python script is actually already built and this purpose to automate my previous process. So it must be much easy to use. Here you go. Okay, now I'm running this exploit is actually using Python 2, not Python 3. Because Python 2 is much more easy to handle the bytecode rather than the Python 3. Like Python 3 is more complex and the documentation is like hell, I can read that. So here we go. I'm going to exploit this. So the delicate start of buffer is already got, and I'm trying to exploit this, and then I send the random character, and here you go. I can access the server from the client. You can see whenever I'm using the ls command, the return is the command ls. So I will running this command like Python 2 means C import pty spawn bin bash, and it means I'm going to show the bash, and it looks like this. You can see who am I in here. I can see the etc password, the dangerous one. I can see config on the server like this. So this is how dangerous the buffer overflow is. Okay, so I'm going to continue my presentation. Okay, this is my last slide. So I will tell you about the fun story of hacking around 2010 and 2012. That time, I live in Samarinda and I'm really addicted with internet. So I'm trying to get a comfy place with an internet, and I found some cool cafe. So the title is like for fun, the strawberry juice day. So in this cafe, I figure out in this cafe I get a free connection and I need to order within browser so you can self-order. At this time, a lot of people stay in this cafe like to chill or work. I order some food and chill to waiting for food to come. But 30 minutes later, we are waiting our food and it's not coming yet. I'm like, what they are doing with my orders? So I just remember about the platform with the ability to self-order. It means they have a system that understand with my current food order status. So Alex just have the idea like let's take over the application to know my food order status. Well, then I start to understand the system behavior, the application behavior. I'm trying to understand why they are working like this and like that. So I get something interesting in this cafe. The first thing first, this is the network design they implemented. They actually separate the private access network with the public access point, the Wi-Fi, but the public network is actually within the same subnet with the private network. So the waiters, the cashier, the chef on the kitchen, they're actually using the private network for their access the data. Waiters using the private network to order some food. If someone they can using self order. But the problem is they use the same subnet, same network with the private network. What's the point to make a different access point if I can access the network within the public network, right? So What I'm going to do now, I need to listen over the network in hope I can read the application behavior or some juicy information. So I listen to the network. It's not simply like listening. You can hear anything on the network because my computer can listen anything that's not within my range. It's like whenever you see it, you can hear a person talking within 10 meters from you. So in this network, every access to the internet must going through the gateway or router. So what I'm going to do now, I want to every device on the network identify me as a device or a router as or gateway. So everyone need to pass me first in order to get to internet, and the router need to get past me first in order to reply to the user. So whenever they talk, they need to tell me first. So I can listen to any communication, no matter far the data is. This is how it look like. Uh, it actually not will not annoy them because they still can access the internet. They feel nothing. They didn't feel like, but my computer is like screaming, getting hot. I poison every device on the network within the ARP spoofing, so every device will identify me as a router, and every communication will be forwarded to the gateway or router. So what I can read is actually the application behavior within the kitchen, uh, the waiters and the cashier, where the waiters get an order from the customer, and the kitchen get an order and confirm the order, and the cashier to get the payment from the customer. So you can see this image. It means I can read all the communication on this network. Everyone need to pass me first to get do anything on this network. So I just found something interesting in here. The very big mistake they did is the application communication using the HTTP, the raw HTTP without secure communication. It's like only HTTP, not HTTPS. So you could see I'm running this on my laptop, and he is screaming like hell hot. And this is what I get within the HTTP communication. I can make a new order and update an existing order on the network. And the juicy one, I get the username and the password of the kitchen, waiters, and the cashier. I log it into the platform. I can see the cafe revenue, total sales, peak hours, and knowing the nasi goreng is the top selling food. So actually this is not the information I need. I want to know my food status, why it's not coming yet. So actually, eventually I get the kitchen platform view and I see my order is actually already checklisted, and suddenly the food is already coming. It feels good because when I check it, the food is also coming. Okay. So it's not the end. It's not the end. And I feel something strange. So actually I just curious because whenever I log in with the user, they it's like have thinking like, are they using these tools illegally, like cracking the application? I have this platform and I have this message on the platform. It's like telling the platform is actually will finish the trial version soon. The trial version is kind of keep going almost a year. Yeah, I'm coming back to the cafe. It's like years and a lot of times going into the cafe. It's weird, and I just feels like they use the application illegally because they supposed to pay the application, right? So can I do something to the system? So I have a crazy idea. So it is possible whenever a new order is created, I add an extra strawberry juice. Right? Whenever someone order, I add the strawberry juice. Well, it feels like this is never going bad because it's just a single strawberry juice and it costs only 7,000 rupiah. Also, I will change the pretty interesting one. I will change all the product menu into strawberry juice. So everyone will order strawberry juice, right? And I began to script the exploit with Python. I script it with Scapy to read the packet within the network. And whenever someone requests the new order, I will add the new strawberry juice to the table. This is how it looked like. My script actually got a lot of result while I'm running this at the busy hour. And then I see a lot of people buy a strawberry juice. while they actually not buying it. You can see this because maybe they will pretty obvious I'm doing this, so I'm not record that. Okay, the second one, I want to change all the menu on the application into strawberry juice. So I made the script to change all the product label, and before that, I back up all the product first. So I run this successfully, and I only need to write this 60 line of code to do this. Pretty simple. Now I'm testing this. You see, this is what it looks like on the kitchen monitor. They only see strawberry juice with smiling face on their monitor. A strawberry juice with smiling face, like the chef don't know what should check the menu already done or not. And this is what it look like on the menu self order. All the menu within the label of strawberry juice with smiling face. They just look at the image. I order strawberry juice, say they will asking, I will order strawberry juice. And the waiters kind of panic and use the paper lastly to write order because they can see the name of the product. So I decide to restore the product and stop the test. It's running like 30 minutes and employee kind of panic. And I overheard they need to change all the product label one by one. Here's what it looked like. And this is how I restored the data. So the application is actually back normal. The kitchen is actually, it can see the order again. So the problem with the case is actually, they didn't use the separate network, and they supposed to be use the real network, so real separate network, and they need to HTTPS everywhere, even LAN internal. And the last problem is the token expression. I'm actually exploit with the a year age token. So I'm actually using a year ago token. So they didn't expire that. That's the problem. So I open your eyes about the Python. It's not only used by software development or machine learning or data. Sometimes you could do fun with Python, right? Okay, so many thanks with Computer Pill and Live Overflow that made a video about buffer overflow and got a best reference about it, and also Live Overflow. And also thanks for my hackers buddy, Habibi Farid. He's an awesome hacker that helps me to validate the presentation. Also many thanks for SIG-R0 for an awesome as in he made on the Twitter. And this presentation could happen because of my wife. Thank you, Joanna. So that's everything about the importance of Python for ethical hacking. Thank you who's still with me right now. You can contact me on the Twitter at Bukan Yahya, and also live streaming on Twitch, Bukan Yahya. I made some content on YouTube, Kimochi, and I put my channel on the GitHub, Kimochi. So I think I will stay at the room as the speaker for PyCon on the pod 4 until 2 p.m. if you want to talk with me. Now, I'd love to hear some questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Yahya. Very interesting presentation. I learned a lot about security from your presentation. We already have some questions. So the first one is from Ridwan Fajar Septian. The question is, do you implement static code analysis in your team to overcome security issue in your application code base at your company?
Okay, in my company is actually not yet implemented the code-based scanning, but actually we are using the static code analysis in my team. I kind of forget the tools, but somehow we want to use the snake. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. And the next question is from Wildan. Jenis serangan apa yang saat ini banyak terjadi di internet dan apa yang harus dilakukan untuk mencegahnya? Silahkan.
Kalau serangan yang terjadi di internet banyak itu sebenarnya susah ya. Kita mungkin bisa spesifikasiin mau serangannya dari negara mana, dari Indonesia atau segala macam kan. Serangan terbesar hacking Indonesia 2021. Sebenarnya kalau misal dilihat dari internet bisa, dan yang paling gampang sebenarnya dilihat dari standar OWASP. OWASP top 10. Nah, biasanya kalau top 10 itu adalah serangan yang sering banget dipakai sama hackers. Kalau misal dilihat di sini ada broken access control, ada injection juga, ada cryptographic failure dan lain-lain. Sebenarnya kalau misal akses ke websitenya OWASP Top 10, dia bakal ngasih tahu gimana caranya untuk mencegahnya. Karena mencegah itu sebenarnya lebih susah daripada nyerangnya sendiri. Jadi harus banyak banget buat cari tahu gimana cara mencegahnya, karena alternatifnya banyak banget. Tapi yang paling gampang tentu pasang firewall kan. Saya sendiri kalau misal beberapa project saya pun saya pakai yang paling gampang tuh Cloudflare karena dia ada web application firewall buat automate kalau misal ada serangan bisa kita handle. Bahkan kalau misal ada tiba-tiba serangan, paling gampang tuh pakai Cloudflare karena ada kayak in attack mode. Jadi nanti hackersnya tuh bisa ada kemungkinan dia stop serangannya. Gitu. And such version more forward in hacking. Okay, how should I approach learning to hack since I'm very new to ethical hacking? You need to join to community or watch some YouTube content on the YouTube. So I actually from the beginning learning from the Leaf Overflow. You can see on the YouTube Leaf Overflow. This guy is pretty good. For the beginner, you will see a lot of hacking tools, and they have a good community on the Twitter. So you could actually easily go to the Twitter and read about his working or action with or video about the hacking. So if you want to very new about this, try by watching their video. That's very easy actually. And don't forget, you need to in touch with the community so you can easily to understand with the same person with point of your learn. So I've tried CTF and such, but how should I move forward in hacking after and such? But how should I move forward in hacking? I don't know. Maybe you just keep going, but because why I keep move forward with hacking because someone always give me like just do some hacking, and I also made YouTube content. I also live streaming on the Twitch to can keep going with my hacking activity. So like that.
Okay. Is there any Telegram group or community in Indonesia for cybersecurity?
I don't know, but actually there is a lot of sebenarnya tuh banyak juga ya grup-grup di Telegram tentang hacking di Indonesia. Ada DevSecOps, tahu aku. Tapi kalau grup-grup yang lain mungkin sedikit private dan aku pun nggak tahu karena saya pun lebih banyak dapetinnya tuh di Twitter daripada di Telegram. Karena lebih interaktif.
Oke, pertanyaannya sudah habis dari para peserta. Mungkin Mas Yahya ada closing statement karena kita masih ada waktu kita.
No, kayaknya cukup dari aku sampai situ.
Oke.
Tapi kalau misal ada yang mau ngobrol sama aku available di, aku lihat ada pod ini ya, pod Us with Speaker di pod 4, mungkin saya sampai jam 1, jam 2.
Oke. Terima kasih banyak Mas Yahya. Thank you. Thank you to Mas Yahya and thank you to the audience who have joined us in this session. We will continue to the other session and see you. Thanks.
Thank you.